Hi, my dearest beloved friends. Our today's topic may seem very sensitive and risky and may potentially raise all kinds of questions and reactions, but we must speak the truth. Because if we compare losing some friends and a reputation with seeing many people's lives healed and restored to their highest capacities, we choose people's well-being over our reputation. That's why we'll continue to speak the truth no matter what. I already shared with you about my early childhood experience in my previous Black Magic Exposed videos, so I'll not repeat the details. Briefly, it was sudden realization of my personal infinite potential through sudden, acutely experiencing my sense of I, my true infinite self. I learned all those definitions from Almin, of course. In my tender age of 4, I didn't have vocabulary to explain it. The only thing that I felt was as if I transfigured into a totally different kind of person. I began to see literally instant manifestation of what I thought about. And I found that people are willing to cooperate with me if I needed their cooperation, if I asked them for assistance, or if I had requests that in other circumstances I would say no to. And being born and raised in the Soviet Union, my parents were not religious, and I didn't have religious upbringing. Naturally, I didn't have a concept of higher beings such as God and invisible forces, and I didn't see any connection between my experience and some sort of interdimensional activities. I realized that something extremely powerful happened within me that completely changed my self-perception, perception of my world, that's for sure. I really felt like I became a sort of a chief commander, and the world around me was being shaped according to my will. And along with all of that, I began to experience rapid growth in the area of music and other capacities. People around me noticed that immediately, and I heard a lot of comments that, according to them, I was far beyond my natural age and the like. But it lasted not so long time until my grandma introduced me to a church world. And what really worked very harshly against me at that time was a program that my parents were able to install into me that supposedly adults are wiser and more experienced than children just because they're adults. And the child must obey the parents and learn from the adults to the extent of considering them as absolute authorities in all areas of life by default. And there are church leaders much older than me, of course, and they told me that I need to be careful not to think highly about myself. On the contrary, I need to think about myself as an unworthy sinner. It's all God's grace and mercy that allowed me to experience such a blessing. And now, instead of continuing to build my own life by using my newfound personal power for my personal success and well-being, I believe the adults, the church authorities, and began to read and repeat their nonsense over and over for many hours a day as a part of the rituals in order to please those higher powers, gods, angels, cherubim, seraphim, whomever else, countless of hierarchical levels, which I was supposed to worship and adore. And it's all instead of being busy with myself, with building my own life according to my own image and likeness. First thing that noticeably happened was a decrease of my interpersonal intellectual skills. People were wondering what happened with Sergei's genius. I was programmed by a church that setting the goals for my personal progress in the area of music, in the area of self-development was a sin of pride. And now my only goal was to keep myself humble and to exalt God, saints, angels, cherubim, seraphim, etc., who are the only ones worthy of glory and praise, and our life purpose is to serve all of them. Of course, at that time, I didn't know who they really were, all those supposedly gods, angels, and demons. I'm not going to go into much details in this video, as we already did it in our summer global meditation program, which is currently available only in the audio version, and we will share the link with you in case you missed it. We'll do it here in the description of this video. If briefly, all of them are discarnate human souls of different kinds, different qualities. That's why we call some of them angels, some of them demons, some of them other names. Ideally, we are here on earth to be immortal, to live eternally in eternal physical bodies. This is the ideal for every human being. For certain reasons, we're not going to the details today, people lost their mortality. And after death of their physical body, they continue their existence in discarded state. Keeping ourselves immortal was never an easy task. It takes development of certain qualities and certain lifestyle. And all of that takes enormous self-work. Enormous self-work. And most of the people just want to have fun, to be entertained, and to conduct a hedonistic lifestyle. That's why they must inevitably die physically and to become discarnate souls. With the exception of a few who we call masters, who made building their own incorruptible eternal physical bodies the work of their lives. And people that are not even slightly interested in a path mastery naturally become their useful instruments, their infrastructure, literally their expendable material, just because they prefer seemingly a path of least resistance, just to be born, to get old, to die. The new people are born and do the same, and they naturally become inhabitants of the so-called spirit realms or soul realms. And we're talking about billions and billions of years. They managed to build a mega infrastructure, mega syndicate, mega system that involved new coming souls into their structure immediately upon their arrival. And the main purpose of existence of this infrastructure is to provide an uninterrupted food supply for those countless infinite billions of discarnate beings. And their food is the physical energy of physically alive people. That's why Almin told us many times on many occasions that so-called spirit beings are toxic for physical beings just by default. And at some point, Almin made a decision to terminate all interactions with the spirit realms. And they're no longer allowed to cross the threshold of her house. There was a time when she allowed it to some extent, and you can read about it in the Life Miracles book and other books about serious damages they caused to her kitchenware, furniture, pipeline, etc., always breaking things in her house. Angeline almost lost her mom to the spirit realms. Almin told us some of those stories during the Russian language private retreats. Once she drove Jillian to school, and suddenly she heard a voice, supposedly an angelic being, which says, "Stop, pull over, you must write down 10,000 angelic names immediately." And Jillian never got to school that day because Almin was not allowed to get distracted from this very important angelic assignment. And Almin made her decision. It was in 2011. She said, "I take my life back." She actually called us at Russia and let us know about that decision. She made her decision that she would never allow spirit realms to govern her life. Well, we all learn by experience. Both Almin and myself went through various religions and spiritual traditions, and literally all of them are based on rulership and dominance of the spirit realms. When I encountered this as a child, first of all, it was program working in me. Adults know things better than children. Children must follow adults, especially those who are authority figures. And that's how I was introduced to an idea of communication with the spirit realms, that supposedly has to be a necessary, integral part of our spiritual development. According to those authority figures, if I wanted to keep what I experienced when I was 4, I needed to keep pleasing those spirit beings. Otherwise, they would take it away from me. And this program is a part of the work of their mega infrastructure to keep that kind of social engineering on Earth that would secure their uninterrupted food supply. If we pay attention to them, especially by praying to them, worshiping them, and obeying them, we give them their food, which is our personal life force. That's why we become sick, weak, and stupid, as we no longer have enough life force to sustain our physical intellectual strength. But the spirit realms become more and more powerful, more and more influential, and innovative as they design more and more sophisticated strategies for supplying themselves with more amounts of energy. They know that they make human physical life force available to them by provoking strong emotions in the people. That's why we keep our emotions within ourselves. We don't show our emotions because we don't want to give them food in this way and to lose our life force, because our emotions equal our life force. And that's why they design wars and terrorism to provoke emotional responses on those mega levels. And they design more and more exotic ways to attract people to worship them as they present themselves as gods, goddesses, angels, demons, and whatever else, to lure people into all kinds of cults, worship. Especially, they're looking for opportunities to inhabit people, what's commonly known as demon possession or channeling. This incarnate being lures a physical being into possessing his body, uninterrupted nourishment is guaranteed for them in this case. They don't need to wander around the world and look for available life force. Now they just live within someone's life force, having their food available around the clock. One of the popular ways to lure people into this lifestyle is to create a cult around themselves, a discarnate teacher that came from the highest spirit realms to teach humanity the highest wisdom. And hundreds of thousands of people flock into their spiritual centers, live and online, to bring food to discarnate realms. As we now understand how it works, they feed on those through whom they speak and those who listen to them speaking. And all of them work together for the system. And every discarnate soul, with no exception, is part of the system, the food chain. They also eat one another. Stronger discarnate beings feed on weaker discarnate beings, squeezing their life force to the last drop. And such a discarnate being terminates its existence completely. Not a big deal, newcomers are on the way. People die every minute, expendable material. And there are fat and strong discarnate mafia chiefs that lived millions and millions of years. All of those physical earthly cult leaders who facilitate worship and channeling events are also part of the food chain. They, to be more precise, spirits in them, eat life force of their followers, and in turn they are being eaten by higher ranks of the system, and in turn the higher ranks become food for more higher ranks. And it seems like there's no end to those ranks. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of billions of years. When I was still young and inexperienced, I was sincerely under the impression that to be more spiritually mature, I needed to learn how to see visions and how to communicate with spirit realms. When I lived in Poland in 1989, I was invited by someone to a small group meeting with someone speaking and singing strange languages, interpreting them and sharing messages supposedly from God and the angels. Everyone called this person a prophet. He literally lived in the state of trance all the time. He literally never had a life of his own. And he was possessed with all kinds of entities. There are multiple beings in his life, his so-called spirit guides, all kinds of spirits manifesting through him. That particular group promoted the state of being as a peak of spiritual maturity, when a person no longer lives his own life, and now he lives under 100% guidance of the spirit realms. He heard the voices that instructed him which color of clothes to wear every day, where to go, what to do. And everyone in this group eagerly desired this kind of lifestyle. And for some, fortunately, and not too long time, I felt the same desire. I was so impressed. I almost completely forgot my childhood experience. I truly found my personal power and started to experience truly supernatural life. But it was not by the mercy and grace of some spirits. It was me. I got in touch with my true infinite self. It could happen with literally everyone with no exception in certain conditions and circumstances conducive to that. In my situation, I spent several months on the beach of the Black Sea in Crimea at the time, alone by myself, no external sources of influences, no TV, no mass media. My mom brought me there. She got a job there, and we lived in a small house by the sea. She was busy with her job, and I spent all my days in silence on the beach. Everything that I was hearing was the waves of the sea and songs of the birds. Mom's job was temporary, and we had to go back to Moscow. Technically, it can happen with everyone if they spend some time in a solitary place. For example, Almin recommends 5-day personal retreats. During this time, no reading, no writing, no journaling, no computer, no mass media, no internet, no communications with the outside world, just being in silence and nothing more. When the only thing that remains is our own self, we naturally go there. I heard the stories of many people who found the true self in that way. Going to channelings and spiritual events is going the opposite direction. When we found the source of our true power, our own true self, it doesn't mean that now we are going to live like hermits. We communicate, we have our jobs, we have our businesses, we network, we facilitate educational networking events, but it's for a purpose of networking, not trying to seek and find the truth. Now we know what the truth is. You are the truth. You are your own truth. And there is no other truth except yourself, for yourself. A master doesn't seek the truth, he creates the truth every moment, according to Almin. A master doesn't need spiritual guidance from the higher realms. No wonder why people lose their mind and get almost insane if they communicate with the spirit realms. Because discarnate souls, regardless of their rank and their mega hierarchy, are naturally intellectually weak for understandable reason. They literally eat each other. And if they provide so-called guidance to a physical being, it's with the purpose of forming him according to their image and likeness to get him plugged into their supply system. And a physical being begins to manifest signs of stupidity. If someone is influenced by spirit realms, they become as stupid as them. Almin once shared a story about her experiments with the spirit realms. At some point of our lives, we all were influenced by various spiritualistic leaders, communities of the same kind, and sincerely believe that we need to seek assistance from the spirit realms. Almin told us about her experience with some angel who supposedly was capable of bringing long-distance healing to someone who asked Almin for assistance. And the healing didn't happen. Later, Almin found out that this angel heard the words from the TV through the open window of some house, stop and smell the roses. And he perceived it as a command from God and completely forgot about his task because now he was busy with smelling all the roses in that area. And those are the spirits people flock over the world to hear them being channeled. And they regard them as their spiritual gurus and teachers and sincerely follow their dumb and stupid instructions into their dumb and stupid so-called spiritual exercises. Those discarnate syndicates are extremely experienced in the power of suggestion and hypnosis, and they know how to have multitudes of people to follow them and obey them. Someone's survival instinct is as strong as theirs. They'll naturally develop all kinds of black magic skills. They will do everything possible and impossible to satisfy their hunger and to survive. And why are we talking about it now? Because everyone has a right to know how to stay safe and not to fall prey to that. What can we do to keep ourselves healthy, well, and strong? First of all, we need to get rid of traditional verbal expressions such as we received information or we feel guided. Received from whom? Guided by whom? If we say we received a sacred information, we implied that there was some higher power that transmits it. And we operate just like a passive radio receiver in this case. So first of all, we neutralize within ourselves the foundational illusion, the source of all illusions, that as if there is some higher power in the cosmos, much higher than us, that supposedly should be our guiding force. People call it differently in different traditions. And if you understand that there is no power higher than you, and you don't receive instructions and spiritual guidance from anyone else, visible and invisible, then you can't be a part of this mega food chain. And then all your life force remains always yours and yours only. Almin didn't receive Belvaspata or other tools that she made available to us. She created them. Her true infinite self is a creator by its nature. She operates from her true infinite self. And that's why she is naturally creative. Angels of Belvaspata, angels of alchemy are not discarnate beings. According to Almin, they are the files, like computer files, that contain information, and each of those files become opened and activated by pronouncing their names or drawing their corresponding sigils. But in Almin's operational system, they are never discarnate beings. In the Life of Miracles book, Almin teaches us to take all credits for our healing works, to unlearn such expressions as, I'm just a tool of the infinite. It's not me who heals, it's God through me. She teaches us to say, I heal, I create this and that miracle, I do the work. She says that we can't manifest healing and miracle working power if we don't connect it with our own self. We don't receive, we create. We make our own decisions instead of being guided. Next, if we find ourselves in a situation when people put pressure on us or try to provoke us on the emotional level or do whatever to bend us to do what they want us to do against our will, we can't allow even a shadow of thought about allowing even the slightest compromise, let alone doing what they want us to do. Because it's for sure that those kinds of scenarios are generated by discarnate realms. They desperately need obedience of the physical beings to get their food, of course, at the expense of the physical beings. This is the reason why the multitudes of people are sick and weak, especially followers and adepts of all kinds of spiritual teachers and religious cults, because those places are the most inhabited by discarnate beings, all kinds of spiritual centers, so-called sacred sites, and the like. All of those places are the most dangerous places in the world. Multitudes of people visit them and leave their life force. Masterfully socially engineered by the spirit realms, they're the most popular place of attraction. And most people move in this direction for a simple reason: they don't know what you know. They have absolutely no idea about what we are now talking about. And many of them innocently think that all sorts of Ouija boards, mediumships, and channelings are just an exotic entertainment, including LSD and other substances that induce visions, astral travels, and other similar experiences. If they make someone to deliberately leave their body, the body remains unoccupied, and just one physical body can immediately become a dwelling place for hundreds and hundreds of discarnate beings. They have all necessary high-level operated centers of coordination and logistics, and they'll immediately detect an occupied living body and utilize it in a nanosecond. The next thing we need to know: we never make any attempts to initiate a conflict or fight with that system, as they are much, much more experienced than us on that level. For us, it will be literally the same as committing suicide. And really, we don't need to do it at all. There's a method exceedingly more effective and completely safe. No matter how powerful and experienced they are, they can do absolutely nothing against us if they don't have our conscious or unconscious permission. This is the cosmic law. Why do they literally own billions of people on Earth? Because they have their unconscious permission. Anyone who don't know about the existence of the system, its nature and its operations, cannot consciously restrict them. So people's ignorance is their primary reason for unlimited freedom of operation. If people don't know whom, what, and why to restrict. So being informed is 90% of work being done. The rest of the 10% is our actual conscious decision to keep ourselves and our life space free from discarnate invaders of all kinds. We don't care if they introduce themselves as angels, ancient teachers, or whatever. If they're discarnate, they have no place in our lives. They're not allowed to enter into our life space. And every discarded being, even the most powerful one, or billions of the most powerful ones, know that they cannot violate a conscious decision of a physical being, especially a person who doesn't seek spiritual guidance and makes only his own independent decisions without feeling even the slightest need to get even the slightest so-called spiritual or supernatural confirmation if his decision is right. A conscious physical being absolutely trusts himself, including his own power of decision-making. We highly recommend you to work with the summer global meditation that addresses this issue more in depth. The link to the audio recording is in the description to this video. Please always feel free to ask us any questions. If something is not completely clear and needs more detailed clarification, we will be more than happy to assist you. Talk to you soon.